Hello, boring vlogs people. How are you this fine day? Me? I'm just so darn great. I'm just so great. You wouldn't even believe me. But yeah, I just got done. I went to Jamba Juice at 5 o'clock to get my first meal of the day. Because, you know, getting it at a regular time is boring. But yeah, so I got Jamba Juice, and then I was like, I'm gonna go to Target and pick up some stuff to make spaghetti for dinner, because that's the only thing that I know how to make really well. That is always delicious, and I love it. It's so good. Girl, how you do that spaghetti? It's so good. How you do that? Wait, I'm not a girl. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so got some ingredients for that. Just gonna go do that. And then I just heard on the radio before I turned my video on that Men in Black 3 has beaten Avengers. So finally, Avengers is not, or I guess it hasn't beaten it yet. But at least maybe it's made more than it so far. Like, I'm not sure. She said it's ahead of Avengers, something. But this Men in Black will probably beat Avengers this weekend. Like, this is its 4th weekend in a row out. So I mean, it can't be number 1 forever. And Men in Black 3 was actually pretty good. I went and saw it last night with my roommate, and we ended up seeing it in 3D just because, like, it was a later showtime, and we didn't really want to go to the 10:30 showing that was the last showing that was regular 2D. So we're like, all right, we'll go see it in 3D. And the 3D was okay. There were a lot of pretty bad parts, and there was one scene where there were, I don't know, 7 or 8 shots in a row, at least, maybe like 10 shots in a row of back and forth conversation that were quite painful. And for somebody, you know, that has worked in 3D for like 2 years now, it's painful, and you notice it. I was tempted to to close one eye so it wouldn't be 3D anymore, and I wouldn't have to look at the terrible depth of it. But overall, I'm pretty sure the entire movie was converted, because I saw hints of it throughout the whole thing, but maybe just a lot of it was, or just some of it was, but I don't know. I saw a lot of stuff that shows you that it's been converted. But yes, I mean, the movie overall was good, and I mean, I've seen all the Men in Black movies. I've enjoyed them all. I love Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. They're both very entertaining, and Josh Brolin did a fantastic job imitating Kay, and some of the jokes in there were pretty hilarious. There's one where it's just I don't know, it doesn't really give anything away to the story. There's a character called O who takes over for Zed, who she's in the trailer, and like her and Kay are kind of friendly, blah 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 blah. And when Jay travels back in time, like, I mean, you already know that all this is gonna happen, so I'm not ruining any of it. But Jay goes back in time to find Kay, and then like he's all trying to act like he doesn't know what's going on, and yet he called Kay and O. He's like, oh no, that's just what I call girls and guys, you know. I'm just like, oh, and Kay. When I see a nice couple together, I'm like, okay. It's just like the way he said it. It was just like the whole time he's building up to it, and you're like, oh god, this is coming. And then he says it, and it's pretty hilarious. It's pretty funny in the end. Maybe not as funny when I say it, but when Will Smith says it, it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, so Men in Black 3 was pretty good, and then the ending of it, man, kind of I mean, I had heard a lot of people say, oh yeah, the story's a little weak. And the story, I mean, a little meh. And there were some parts of it where I was like, come on, really? Like, that's just, where's this ambulance going? Okay. Yeah, there's parts of it where you're like, really? That doesn't, really? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's how that would go down. But I think in the end, like, it all came together nicely, and what happened, like the very ending of it, a little bit of a tearjerker. If you're a big Men in Black fan, like, it really is like, oh my god, like, really? That's what happened? Are you kidding me? Like, you'd never really think that, but it makes sense. I'll just say that. You wouldn't think it, but it makes sense, sorta, once you see it. So yeah, I mean, enjoyable film, and it was entertaining, and I'd say out of 10, I'd give it like an 8, because the 3D was pretty weak, and there were some parts that just made me go, really? Are you serious right now? Like, that's a little far-fetched. And, I mean, it's far-fetched considering they're in a place filled with aliens. Like, and for something to be far-fetched in a situation like that, it's gotta be pretty far-fetched. Or just not, just doesn't make sense. And something that Philip DeFranco said in his review that he did out of it, I completely agree with, and that so many of the blue/green screen shots were, oh god, so blatantly obvious. Like, it was terrible. It just, I can't remember the last time I've seen blue and green screen effects that were like that obviously done. Like, all the other Men in Black films, I don't remember any of them being like that at all. And yet this one it had a lot of scenes like that. Not in the beginning so much, but near the end, the middle and the end, there were a lot of scenes and shots that were like, oh god, really? That is so obvious. And it might have been even more obvious in 3D, but who knows. But I mean, the thing is, even though it was obvious that they were green screen and blue screen, it's like you always know in movies when they're on a green screen, but it's just like, it's so in your face in this one. That's the thing. But the thing is, though, even though it's obvious that they're in blue screen situations, or I keep saying blue screen, but it could be green screen, who knows? It's the same thing. But it's like the places that they're put into in those green screen shots are like, look amazing. Like, that's the good thing, is it still looks like the places they're in look really cool, and whoever modeled them in 3D did a great job. And I was watching behind the scenes featurettes sorta on a couple of the shots that they did, and what the steps were that were taken in order to make them. And there's a shot when they're both on their little one-wheel motorcycle things that are in the trailer, and like, they were saying they built 3D models of J, K, the other two guys, the motorcycles, the whole city block that they drive down. Like, they built 3D models of all that stuff. Ooh, hummingbird, I think, yeah. And just so that they could go seamless, and so they switched back and forth between real shot and CG shot, like, constantly because of what was going on. And to get it how they wanted it to look, they had to keep switching back and forth, and like, and then there's a bus crash shot, and they were saying that they wanted a shot from a different angle that they didn't actually originally shoot, so they had to go back and I keep saying 3G. They had to go back and model everything so that they could rebuild that scene and make a shot happen that never actually happened. And when you hear something like that, it's like, that is awesome. That is so cool. Like, they went back and they made a shot exist that did not exist. But I guess how they went through and they took pictures of everything when they were shooting it, so that they could go back and accurately reproduce everything in the shot. So crazy. But yeah, so the movie was good, definitely good. And if you're like a big Men in Black fan, you will definitely enjoy the movie. No doubt you will enjoy the movie. It was good. But yeah, so that's about it. I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And yeah, so long. Bye-bye. Yeah.